All right, welcome back to the Hogcast. This is your host, Chris Gogol, with Raymond House, Gerald Howard. Jermaine Petty couldn't be here with us today. He's got a couple things going on, but the show must go on. So, here to recap a little bit of the A&M and Arkansas game. Played in historical Dallas, Texas Stadium, the house that Jerry built.
The Lone Star State.
The Lone Star State. First off, I'll just start off by kind of recapping some of the stats here. Texas A&M, Kellen Mond, 14 and 27, 216 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He also had 109 yards rushing. Keith Ford, 14 for 102, and Travion Williams, 17 for 72. Receiving wise, you had Christian Kirk, five receptions, 110, leading the way for the Aggies there. Now for your Arkansas Razorbacks, Austin Allen, 12 of 25, 229 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Cole Kelly also was 1 for 2 touchdowns. He lined up in that little wildcat, kind of like that new little wrinkle they brought in, throwing it out to David Williams. I thought that was a good play call there I believe that was in the second quarter somewhere. Rushing wise, Chase Hayden, the freshman, comes back after a pretty rough week against TCU. 13 for 77, 1 touchdown. David Williams, again, pretty impressive, 11 for 68, 2 touchdowns. Receiving-wise, Jonathan Nance kind of emerged a little bit. 3 receptions for 100 yards, had some deep balls go his way. I thought Austin had some pretty decent deep balls there to kind of slow the game down a little bit. Defensive-wise, Drain Greenwall is just like all world for us lately, and even Scooter Harris, 14 tackles himself. So Dre had 14 and 9 solo. But we just wanted to run through the stats a little bit. Ideally, what we're going to do today, we're just going to kind of run through some offense and defense, and then some general comments. So offensive-wise. I think in the last show against TCU, we did bag on the offensive line quite heavily. They did a little shuffle. They moved Ty Clearly out and put Johnny Gibson in at right guard and had Paul Ramirez out there at right tackle. I don't know if it was exponentially better, but I thought the offensive line played a little bit better. Austin did take some shots, and he showed a little frustration again. From that kind of standpoint as a quarterback, I know you played offense, but G played offense and Raymond played defense. But when you see your quarterback he kind of went off on the offensive line for the second consecutive game. What do you guys think about that?
Well, at that position, being the leader offensively, you'd want to see that composure and that cool and that calm. Right, and you don't want your quarterback to be rattled regardless of what the situation is. Now, here's the thing. I think there's a difference, though, and it's always tough for us to tell on the outside looking. I think there's a difference than just being rattled and then, just showing emotion, right? But either way it goes, you want to do what it takes to get your team motivated as a leader, to get your team motivated to do something different. But it just has to make sure that it's portrayed in the right way and it's accepted, right? So it's just tough to tell. I don't know. You played the position before,
yeah.
So
with me being a quarterback leader, it's you've got that fine line. You got passion and emotion, and usually to be an effective leader, you've got to show passion, but that emotion has to come down because in any form of life, once you start showing emotion, decision making goes. Sometimes it's great and sometimes it's bad. Not being on that field with him, it's hard to gauge what that was. So I just from the sideline, usually the cooler head prevails at the quarterback position. I guess is the best way to sum that up.
I mean, my big thing is I know, and I'm going to compare them simply because they are brothers, and maybe that's wrong of me to do, but
Yeah, it is wrong. That's wrong. But continue.
but
Continue.
But I think BA got it handed to him pretty bad too.
Oh yeah, he did.
And I thought, I mean, just looking at them side by side, I think each of them had 2 years starting. Well, I think BA had 3 total years, and this is Austin's second year. But it's hard for me to see him kind of look. I know he's your emotional leader. He is your leader. I think at any time. I think if you put Bielema on the spot, who's the most important guy on this team, and he's going to look at you and say Austin Allen.
Yeah.
I think he makes that engine go. But you can't have that conductor screaming at your offensive line every single game. And I thought they played much better. He got smacked around quite a bit. Don't get me wrong. He got smacked around quite a bit for probably the umpteenth game in a row at this point. But I don't think it does you any good. And I as team morale, as a coaching staff, I don't know if that's something you may need to address in the future. It sounds like Frank Ragnow and Austin went on a little fishing trip and had a little heart-to-heart over the bye week.
Yep.
And then there's, it's just kind of more of the same.
Well, yeah, but you don't have those issues with Ragnow. Right?
Yeah,
He's the one
he's handling business.
constant that is handling business, and he's owning it. So. That's a thing though. I mean, that's only one aspect of the game.
Yeah.
His point of frustration. You think? I don't know. I mean, offensively though. I mean, it
Were you okay with him being upset?
I think he's got a reason to be. Absolutely.
Okay.
I don't think he lost it.
Yeah, but I don't think he went
berserk. Like he
No.
didn't throw his helmet.
And then, like when you think about comparing him to his brother, they're two different guys. They're two different demeanors, two different personalities. And so I don't expect them to handle the same situations exactly the same.
Right.
But
All right. Well, that was just one thing that kind of bothered me. I thought overall they played a great game, and it was kind of a dreadful way to lose. I did think, I don't know what you guys thought about the overtime interception. I thought that was a little bit forced. You can't have that from your senior quarterback. I think you got to and it was second down?
Yeah, you got to know what the situation is.
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, I'm not going to harp on Austin too much. I think he's doing everything that he possibly can. There's just a few attitude changes I'd like to see, especially coming from your leader. I think he just needs to maybe tone it down a little bit. I think kind
of to G's point, it's really tough to kind of gauge those type of things
without being in the room,
on the sideline with him, in that locker room with him. All you get a sample size, a perception of what really is going on, right? And now because all we can really focus on is what probably should change, right? It's just he's not getting the separation that he needs outside of from we talked about was it Nance that kind of had the
breakout,
yeah.
three for 100, yeah.
But got deep a couple of times.
Consistently getting separation from DBs, you need your wide receivers.